Ladies and gentlemen, Shafeek.
I entered Williams College in the fall of 1997, believing three things about myself. One, that I was incredibly smart. Two, that I was a gifted actor. And three, that I was amazing at video games. By the end of my first semester, I was struggling with my grades. I was impressing no one in my theater classes. And I actually lost a dorm-wide Mario Kart tournament, which was perhaps the most soul-crushing of all. So I was having a bit of an identity crisis early on, it's safe to say. And the one thing I wound up latching onto was the fact that I'd become sort of a well-known atheist on campus, which I guess was a rare thing at the time. I had been an atheist, I had been a doubter my whole life, ever since a very young age. Once I found out that Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy weren't real, I told everyone I would not be fooled again. And what didn't help matters is my father tried to convert me by getting me to read the Bible. Or rather, he actually paid me to read the Bible. A good rate, $20 an hour, but it actually did not lead to a conversion, so I remained. So back in college, I was engaging in a great many religious debates, refuting God left and right wherever I could. I remember a particular conversation I had in the school snack bar, sitting at a table with some friends. The topic of free will came up, and I forget the exact point I was trying to make, but I remember slamming my head on the table as sort of the exclamation point to my argument. And I have a specific memory of leaning up and doing that and seeing the entire snack bar staring at me, leaning back in the chair, crossing my arms and thinking, I made my point. So this went on for 4 years. So my senior year in college, I was in a student-run production of a show called The Price of Paradise, where I was cast as Moses, showing that the director had a sense of humor. And in this show, during the show, I met a girl named Emily, who was a stagehand. Emily was a sophomore, 2 years younger than me, and she was short, she was a brunette, she had curly brown hair that went down her back, she wore baggy clothes and had kind of this hippie-ish vibe about her. She was cute. And at the end of the show, we got to know each other, and during the cast party, we were sitting on the couch together, both a little tipsy, and at one point she stood up and took my hand and escorted me out of the party. And I never felt more like a badass in my life because this had never happened before. And I had this big shit-eating grin on my face, meanwhile not having any idea what I did to deserve it. We walk out of the party, go back to her dorm, we open the door to her dorm, and we go inside, and there are Bible quotes all over the wall. And my jaw dropped. And for obvious reasons, I kept my mouth shut at the time. She let me know very quickly that everything from here down belonged to God, which as an atheist upset me, and as a man really upset me. The next day, we had a conversation, and I figured once she found out I was an atheist, that's it, it's over. No more conversation to be had, but as it turns out, she already knew. And she actually didn't mind. The conversation basically went along this line. She said, I like you. Do you like me? And I said, yes. And she said, I'm okay with you being an atheist. Are you okay with me being a devout Christian? And I said, yes. And so we started dating. And things went really well. We mostly shelved the topic of religion wherever we could. But inevitably it did come up. I remember one particular conversation we had where I actually discovered the intricacies of getting into heaven, which I didn't know before. I always thought it was just a matter of being a good person. But as it turns out, according to the Christian faith, you have to actually accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, which bugged me, because in the back of my head, I always thought, in case I'm wrong, and in case there is, in fact, a God, and I wind up with the pearly gates, and I can use put on my back pocket and say, hey, well, technically, I've been good my whole life, so if you'll excuse me. It turns out I'm not getting in either way, so I'm screwed. While this is going on, while we're dating, the school Christian organization, the Williams Christian Fellowship, actually got wind of our relationship. Emily was a member of the WCF, and they decided something needed to be done. So they actually had a meeting about us, which as a narcissist is pretty amazing. And during that meeting, it was ultimately decided that the best course of action was to tell Emily, in a very thinly veiled ultimatum, that she either breaks up with me or she can't run this after-school program she was looking to run next year. So they go and they tell Emily this, and while this is all going on the side, I'm going to class, I'm in school, and I have no idea this is going on. So there are people in WCF all of a sudden treating me differently. I don't know we're in the WCF. So it's like this weird cult thing. I'm in class with this girl, Gail, who I'm friends with in my Psychology 401 class. Gail is this sassy Jamaican girl who I would often make fun of her accent and do crappy accents in front of her, and she'd always laugh. And all of a sudden, she was ignoring me, sitting further away from me, and not laughing at some of my A material. Very upset, and perplexed, frankly. Shortly after this happened, Emily calls me over to her dorm, and I go to her room, and she's sitting outside on the ledge of her balcony outside her window, crying. And I go out and I sit down next to her, and she tells me through the tears everything that happened with the WCF. And she says that she rationalized that although she thought it was a terrible decision what they made, that we probably weren't going to be dating once I graduated, we probably weren't going to get married, so now seemed like it was a good time as any to break up. So she ended things. So I nodded my head, and I stood up, I let myself out of the room, and I stormed across campus. I went to my room, I slammed the door, I paced in front of my computer for about an hour, and then I sat down and I wrote the nastiest email of my life. The email basically had 3 major points, spread out over about 27 paragraphs, that said 3 things. 1, you're all a bunch of hypocrites. 2, this is exactly why I don't believe in organized religion. And 3, eat a fucking dick. I sent this email to every member of the WCF, to Emily, to my friends at school, to my friends outside of school, to my family, to my professors, to the school paper, to the school president, to the world. I wanted everyone to know what had happened. And I went to bed that night thinking that when I woke up in the morning, I would have started a revolution. That people were going to be waiting outside my dorm with torches and pitchforks, waiting to go to arms against their Christian religion, all the way to the Vatican if need be. But when I woke up and went to my computer, other than a few emails from friends that basically said the equivalent of, dude, I had very little responses. I did not cause much of a stir. An atheist revolution did not happen. And shortly after that, all was forgotten. I graduated from school, and life went on. Shortly after I graduated, I saw Emily, and she invited me to her home in Massachusetts. Very nice Christian home with a very nice Christian family, and they made me a very nice Christian meal. And Emily and I stayed friends despite the fact that I went down, despite me kind of throwing her under the bus with the whole email situation. And I realized after the fact that there were kind of 2 camps here. There was the WCF, who sort of was a bastardization of organized religion, and Emily, who, the person of all this, had accepted the most intolerant person she'd ever met, probably, and yet decided to take me, and decided to be my friend, and decided to accept who I was and not judge. So I decided, why not be more like Emily, and live my life like that from now on. So I've become a less militant atheist since then. I think it's for the best. Thank you very much.